The following is a fan-based discussion. All properties discussed are property of Toei Inc., Bandai, Saban Entertainment, and Tsuburaya Productions.
Hey everybody!
Hey!
Hello!
That was the most awkward thing.
We do it. We'll do it. Yeah.
We're ninjas.
We're ninjas.
All
Shit
the
has
ninja.
moved.
See, I'm wearing the shirt. I'm 5 ninjas at once. It's on this side.
I was gonna.
I'm just like, wait, I don't know.
Wow, Marcus!
What's worse, that or the birth certificate?
Both.
Okay. Hey everybody! We're doing a review at some point.
We're back to Super Sentai.
Hurricane.
I need a fucking nap.
Marcus is a dumbass. Before we get started, quick shout out to Matthew Brignac on YouTube. He asked us to give a shout out. There you go.
Sleep the goddamn. No!
Do not play our Battle Fever J review.
Every single time we're going to do a video, this video is going to get plugged. And that's just how we're going to work it now.
So 6,500 views. Let's go.
We're doing great.
Doing great.
This time, episode 37.
37.
Is it?
37.
Probably.
30 something.
37. I'm just going to say that.
And we'll put like 38 on the screen.
37!
Hey!
Because the last one was Ultra Mantico. Welcome, everybody.
Hurricaneger!
This week,
Ninjas.
Ninpuu Sentai
Ninpuu
Hurricanger.
Sentai Hurricanger.
Ninjas Part 2.
This is part 2.
And part 3 is a fucking train wreck.
We're not there yet. Let's focus on the good stuff.
Yes, that's the good stuff. Like this opening.
By the way, on the way here, I tweeted that I was on my way to do the review and it's ninja time. And someone went, so you're doing a ninja, right? No, and you are funny. But
This opening, it's one of our favorites.
it is one
We
of our
love this
favorites. I'm
opening.
sure it was in our top 10.
Yeah.
It was.
Yeah.
You know what's great about
Another
this?
video plugged. We're not even 5 minutes in.
Nope. You know what's great about this one? It's a marching song.
Oh, yeah.
It's a fast march, but
Yeah.
it's a marching song.
It's just, I'm on it. I can do this one. I love the Hurricaneger opening. It's so much, it's fun.
This is a theme song I would put in a cardio mix.
Oh, heck yeah.
It's one I could work out to.
It's just fun. That's the point. It should be grab your attention, and it should be fun. And that's what this opening is.
And then when it has your attention, you still see the problems. Because there are a few problems with this show.
There are, but they're not overwhelmingly
Going back and
obvious.
rewatching it, I liked it a lot less than I remembered.
But I
Really?
still like
I
it.
still liked it, yes,
Yeah.
but a lot less than I remembered liking it.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Now,
Let's start
with the first episode, Wind and Ninja. That's the thing about this show. The names of the episodes start with scroll, whatever episode number, and something and something.
Mm-hmm.
In this case, Wind and Ninja, where we start off
Wind und Ninja.
basically where there's they're having a training scenario going on. And we end up meeting 3 ninjas.
who aren't very good.
Yep. We end up meeting Yosuke.
Though this does lead to one of my favorite aspects of this show.
Yes. And we meet Yosuke,
It's a guinea
Kota,
pig, right?
and
It's a guinea pig, right?
No.
and Nanami, who we all know is now
Now Nagasawa. This is the first time we've seen her in a lead like this.
Yes. And the fact that I learned this just going through and doing some research on it. She did a lot of her own stunts.
Yeah, she did like all of her own in-suit stunts.
Yeah.
Which is rare.
Which is very rare.
She does this, Kenji Oba does this, and a few others, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Minato.
She's also very, very pretty.
Yes, she is.
Yeah. Now Nagasawa is just, yeah. But, no, I'm thinking. She has appeared second most after Deca Yellow, just coming back as a training Sentai actress.
Mm-hmm.
She comes, because, Deca Yellow just keeps coming back.
Oh, yeah.
Despite whether or not she's pregnant?
You cannot tell. You really can't tell.
Well, it helps when the camera's just like here up.
Even though.
Yeah. This episode starts with a training montage, more or less.
Mm-hmm.
See them, using their abilities,
They're trying to get a scroll.
Yes. And they basically fail at that.
Yeah.
But I love the
Ninja
fact
scroll, if you will.
that because of the way that this show immediately starts it out, you can tell the people that we're focusing on are not that good. And I like that. Because it gives us a chance to really grow with these characters.
Mm-hmm. They're not the best, and the master shows up, and he immediately just destroys them.
Basically. Now, they are part of the Hayate Ninja School.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a big old, school on the side of a mountain.
Big school of ninjas.
And then from out in outer space, a gigantic space needle basically, into coming down and sticking into the earth. Let's talk about this really quickly.
Space ninjas?
Yeah, well, that's what they are.
They are the space ninjas.
But the way that they end up
You hear that,
framing...
Forza? These are actually space ninjas. Why are your minions ninjas?
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
The way that they frame this, though, it makes it seem like the actual thing when it comes in is so much bigger than the earth.
Yeah.
But then when you get there, it's not. So I'm just like, y'all don't know how to frame shit.
They don't know how to... I don't know, maybe they just told a load of the rings and just used camera tricks to make themselves look more intimidating.
But yes,
Just like that.
the name of the evil group this time is called the Jakanja.
Space ninja.
Space Ninja Group Jakanja.
Yes.
Which is one of the better villain group names.
Yes.
Not two.
It's not Tube
Or Volt.
or Volt.
Jakanja.
Don't trigger me. I'm fucking tired. I've been up since 6:45 this morning.
That's your fault.
No, it's not.
But yeah, the leader, Tao Zanto, who is basically just inlaid into a wall, more or less. He basically just sits there and do...
See, I don't like villains like that. When the main
Neither.
villain
Yeah.
is just stuck to a chair.
And this brings...
I'm looking at you, Zoocher.
Yes.
That's the main one,
Yeah.
where he does nothing.
The thing that I hated the most about the show that really brought it down for me is the villains.
Mhm.
I did not like a single one of them.
It is a bit weak on the villain front.
The villains in this show are not very evil. They're
No.
just jerks. 99%
The
of the time-
Gouraigers were more evil when
Not-
they were introduced.
Exactly! But we're gonna get there. Wait till we get there. I don't want to jump ahead.
Now, Jakanja does end up sending down a monster,
Yes.
led by Chuzubo, because they all are named Spears.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
The Dark
The
Spears.
7 Dark Spears.
And
Days of the week.
Spear number 1, who's the one we're going to be talking about for a little bit,
Thanks,
is
Shopkeeper Ranger.
Chuzubo.
Mm-hmm.
And he ends up bringing out a monster who basically just ends up putting a whole bunch of scrolls and everything onto the... What is the word I'm looking for here? Like, he puts it onto to the schools.
Yeah,
Right.
on
He
the
gets them
schools
sucked
and the
up.
ninjas themselves. And
We're going to talk about that.
Kidnaps all of them.
And then we're going to talk about that in comparison as well, because there's a major difference between the way that plot line ends.
Yeah.
So,
We'll get there.
But yeah, they end up getting sucked up into the Jakanja base.
Yes.
Nobody really knows what happens to them.
Mhm.
The master ends up, because he can transform into various
animals.
he transforms into a hawk and everything at the beginning. But he gets stuck because of his speed into trying to get away from the transformation. He transforms himself to a hamster and gets stuck for most of the season.
Yes.
Which is
I will say
that's also
though,
going to be fun in
I
comparison.
liked the way that ninjutsu works in this show, because when he transforms, you see like his DNA like reshaping itself. I think that's really cool. Like, ninjutsu is something that works on a molecular level.
Fair enough.
Which I liked. I like that it's that mixture of science and magic that I think is kind of cool.
Yeah.
Now, the 3 are not there because apparently they're about to have some type of like tournament. Or something.
They were being scolded. You're not the master because they were doing that training exercise like without his permission or something or other. He forbids them to go, so they're out in the woods just like eating an apple or something and just chilling.
Let's talk about that too, because
No.
the apple is a thing.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, all of the schools
There's
are
a
getting
piece
sucked
out of
away
them.
except these 3 and their
Oh.
hamster master and their the headmaster's daughter, Ouroboros.
Mm-hmm.
I love her. She's great. We're never going to talk about her in because she is much more of a companion character. But I did love her. I thought she was fun, and in the team up, she breaks the 4th wall. This happens once again in the
Baka
Ranger.
Ranger.
Yep, that too.
The Baka Rangers.
Yep. The Alba Ranger versus Hurricaneger team up, where she breaks the 4th wall again.
Yeah, that was pretty good. That was pretty funny.
But yeah, she is basically like the brains of the outfit. She basically is creating all their weapons and mechs and everything.
I liked her a
First
lot.
edition.
Which we will talk about those mechs in a minute.
Yes.
Anyway, let's start with this. Then, so once they're all kidnapped, they realize what's happened, and they're kind of thrusted into this. You kind of have to save the world and deal with it.
And here are your Hurricaneger transformation.
This is one of my favorite things about this show is that the 3 of them are not the best.
Yeah.
They're the worst.
I think they're
The
literally
reason
near the
they
bottom of
become
list.
the Hurricangers is because they are literally the only ones left. And I love that.
We're stuck
And
with
then
you.
and they're stuck with them. They're the worst, but we get to see them grow and become better ninjas as a result. It's
We'll talk about
character
that in a
progression.
Let's talk about these suits.
I really like them.
I love them.
I like the suits a lot.
Love these suits.
The only thing I have a complaint about is just the gray on the sleeves, and with Blue's case, the leggings is just kind of a random color.
This is one of those ones
It
where
kind of
Blue-
reminds me of Chainmail. So
I'll give you that. Like, and I bet that's what they were going for. Also, the black sword sheath, and because isn't it supposed to be red, or am I getting confused with Ninja Storm?
You're getting confused. But yeah, the one thing I didn't like about this is the fact that Blue didn't have because really a skirt for a ninja. Come on now, that could have been done better.
And it's also
you look at your favorite ninja suits, if I'm not mistaken, are the Kamen Rider ones, right?
Yeah.
Where they were all uniformly just one color.
Yeah.
And these are the first suits we get where the faceplates slide open so you can see their face.
And they do that quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really like that. And we also end up getting, their first weapons and everything and the fact that their weapon, when they can combine it,
it can be
switched around.
Rearranged. Is this
so
the
you
first
get
time this has happened?
Yes.
Okay.
We get a Hawk Blaster for red, a Lion Hammer for yellow.
It's actually a hammer.
It's actually a fucking hammer. They know better.
They knew better.
And a megaphone for blue, which I didn't think would be very useful, but in the first episode, she got some good use out of it. Bitty, 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 bitty. That was great.
And then she never used it again.
Nope.
Yep.
But it's still a cool combination to become like a bazooka-type blaster that can be switched around whoever is in... anybody can be in front, whoever has the focus that episode, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm. And then we also get to meet two meets, because there are 7 spears, but we don't get introduced to them.
We don't get introduced to them all at once. There's only 5 at the start. 4 or 5.
Yep. There's only 5. With Furabijo, Men Maraba, who we're going to end up talking about a little bit more later. He's sort of really useless right now. Windinu, Chuzubo, and Sargain.
Now, before we get into those villains, why don't we talk about the minions? What do we think of the minions this season? We don't talk about them a lot.
The Magarapas.
Yeah, they're an interesting design. The centipede design thing is an interesting choice.
Centipedes are creepy.
Yeah.
You don't like anything that's an insect, though.
Well, I would beetles are fine, but things like this where they have just way too many legs.
Another reason why I don't like spiders.
Yeah.
Yeah,
they're okay.
Yeah.
They're not the best, they're not the worst.
Yeah.
That'd be an interesting top 10. Top 10 minions.
We'll do it at some point. Yeah. Let's get into episode 2.
Okay.
Because we end up getting to see the way that the monsters end up growing, because each general has a certain, core under them.
Mm-hmm.
Chuzubo has, the ninja core. Sargain has the robot puppet core and everything like that. I like the fact that it's not the same for everyone. So they each have a different way of actually growing. Mm-hmm. When it ends up coming to Sargain, they use basically a copy giant that Wendinu sends out, and it copies the robot.
Like this method a lot.
Yeah.
And then at the end when it's beaten, she stamps it as a failure.
Furabijo does. Mm-hmm. Now let's talk about their mech. Ninpuu.
Okay, before we get into it, I know what you want to talk about. Aesthetically speaking, I think it's a really nice mech.
I think it's fun.
Yeah.
I think it works really well. Part of me isn't a fan of how the lion is 75% of it.
You're going to end up having this problem again next season.
Yeah, I know.
With the T-Rex?
Yep.
I'm fully aware. But overall, I still think it's cool. I like how the dolphin head can come off to make a kind of chain gun looking thing, and they can spin the lion's mane for a wind attack, and I think This
is also the second time that we got this motif.
Yes, we have.
Five Man was the first one with this exact same motif.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
With
but I definitely like the different weapons that they can get for the mech that come out of the balls out of the chest.
Yes, the Karakuri balls.
Those are really cool.
Which is sort of extrapolated on later on, because apparently they dealt with other planets in the show more or less, and that system is not from Earth.
Now, in terms of in-show, how they get the mechs, the transition.
Oh, you mean how there's
this Ferris wheel that becomes a
and
lion.
that just turns into the lion? Is everybody still on that Ferris wheel when it happens?
They're all dead.
Yeah.
Either they're all dead or they are on the Ferris wheel just going, ah!
No, then there's everybody in the plane. They're dead.
Yeah,
everybody in the cruise
plane.
ship, dead.
The cruise ship. That
Everyone
goes
is
through
dead.
SeaWorld, apparently.
Everyone is dead in any of these things. I'm sitting here that Ferris wheel, everything has to be shut down, but every single time we see the plane, it's in the air. So
maybe no one's on it and it's just ninja magic.
maybe,
Or-
but it's just
I
like
like to think
just
it's
dead.
ninja magic.
Or they're just dead.
Yeah, we do end up getting to see this. I really like this mech. We'll talk about the second version of the mech right now, actually.
Oh, that version.
Hurry up. Matt, you said you had issues with this.
Its head is too big.
That's really the main problem with this mech.
Everything else is fine, but its head is too big.
I do sort of like the fact that it has a time limit, but at the same time, I don't.
It's
It has
like-
a 60-second time limit for them to be in hurry up mode.
It's like It's like the Excel form for Phis,
Yes.
but not as cool.
Now, at the end of episode 1, we didn't talk about this. We do end up getting to see 2 other costume figures that are watching the fight below.
Dun, dun, dun.
I like this. It gives you a sense of anticipation for who these 2 characters are.
Yes.
Because they're just looking down and they're like, they're not that good and everything like that. And then they just come in and they just leave for a couple episodes up to episode
Or the
5.
American version. God, they suck.
They say that.
No. I was making a joke.
I just wouldn't put it past them.
No, me neither, but God, that worked out so much better than I expected. Jesus.
Now, some of the other ways that they'll end up growing, just these ones at the beginning, the monsters that they fight, when it ends up being Chizubo's core, when Dino puts a scroll into a cannon and shoots it down and it comes out and just makes the monster giant. That's how it works for that one. We don't end up getting to see those 2 figures again until episode 5. And I love the fact that they were missing for a few episodes, just like, hey, who the hell?
So who is that?
Yeah, it's always really interesting when you end up having, that tension that actually ends up being a thing. But in episode 7, Thunder and Ninja is the name of the episode, by the way. We end up getting to meet these 2 other characters. They are Crimson and Navy.
The Gouraigers.
Yes.
The Gouraigers and the Gouraigers.
Yes, I like the fact that they're not named by the colors.
I like the fact that they're not named by the colors, which is really nice. And I love the fact that I feel like half the reason they did that is because...
Red and blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or as they would say, like, Gouraiger Crimson. No, that is not.
And you know what's
Crimson Raja.
You know what's going to being a thing that sort of fucks this all up?
What's that?
In the 199 Heroes special, he fights with the Reds, he fights with the Blues.
Yep. Yes, he does. And that's hysterical. Because, yep.
Now, here's also a very interesting thing. These 2 teams never actually end up coming together under one name. So it's legitimately...
the Hurricangers and the Gouraigers.
Yeah.
And they have their separate roll calls, which I still think is cool.
Yes. Speaking of the roll call.
It's the greatest.
It is the best roll
It's
call.
still the best.
It's so good.
We haven't done top 10 Sentai roll calls.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, I couldn't
This is
remember.
number 1.
This was number 1.
Yes.
It's so good.
Go check that video out.
Oh, plug number 3.
It's so great.
One day we'll figure out annotation so we can just put a link.
It's true. I'll do it eventually. But yeah. Now, the Gouraigers are not on their side, the Hurricaneger side, when they first ended coming in. In fact, they're from an entirely different school.
They were from the...
Ikazuchi.
Izaguchi?
Ikazuchi.
Ikazuchi. The Ikazuchi school, they were the Hayate Ninja School's rivals.
Yes.
And the ninja competition that everyone was getting ready for at the start, that's who they were going to face.
And this turned into an anime plot real fast.
It really did.
It is Japanese.
This is a very shonen show.
Yes, it kind of is.
Now, I will end up saying this, though, because they have a lot of hatred towards the Hayate school because they basically view, thanks to their father, which we won't talk
We'll
about.
get to that.
How much of a dick
They're
he is.
viewed as sort of, well, yeah. But also the fact that they're really viewed as, like, they see themselves really dark. They're always, like, in the dark. They're never, celebrated like Hayate Ninja School was. So there's a lot of animosity between the 2 schools.
Mhm.
It's mostly just because of the fact that these 2.
These 2 are the most interesting villains in the show. In
And
fact,
don't even
I
stay
will say
villains.
they are the only good villains in the show.
I will say this, though.
And
Every
then
single
they're no longer
time...
villains after a point.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but
Of course. I mean, that's bound to happen.
But for the first time in a very long time, this is the first time I think since Zyuranger that we actually got an evil evil other Rangers.
Mega Ranger.
All right. Well, that does. I mean, like Rangers who eventually.
Become Rangers.
Yes.
Fair enough.
Oh, well, can't wait till we do next season. But
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That was the evolution of this.
Yeah.
Which was the evolution of Boomerang.
now, we'll say this, because basically every single time that they end up trying to fight the Gouraigers for the first couple times, they get their ass beat.
Oh yes.
Which is so fun to watch.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really good. Like, it's sort of good, but it's also very frustrating in a way. Because they only end up really beating the Gouraigers just like once out of like the 15 times that they end up fighting them.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, you can get better, but I mean, come on, at least land some hits before that. Because every single time he got beat. And that's sort of an issue. Now, the Gouraigers do also have their own bikes that they use in the first episode, which they just destroy people. And these two end up joining the Jakanja sort of as their temporary 6th and 7th spears.
And then they get a mech, or is that before? Is that after they become good guys?
That is before. They get their mech in episode 10.
Okay.
Now, there is a bit of animosity going on with Jakanja between this time, because Chuzubo does not like them at all.
Because they actually get shit done.
Yeah, because they're actually good at their jobs.
They beat the Hurricaneers every single time, and Chuzubo is just like, you're always showing me up, and I really don't fucking like you.
Can we also talk about how some of the fight scenes in this show are great? Like with the that one move they do where the paper doors close and all you see is the shadows.
Yeah. I love that. It's great. I love seeing that. They don't do it that often, but when they do it, it's great. It's always good to see.
Good Kuga thumbs up.
Now,
every time we do a thumbs up, you should just show a picture of Kuga.
It's true.
It's good.
Shut up. Episode 10. The Thunder God and the Destroyed Valley. This is when we end up getting to meet Gouraigers, which is the Gouraigers mech.
Which is a badass looking mech.
And it steals the Karakuri ball from them.
I still love how they're just tanks. They're literally just beetle tanks.
Yeah.
And then they just fuck your shit up.
I will mention this, and I was trying to look up a picture of it to see if anybody had done one for it. There is no hurry-up version of this mech.
No.
I was a little bit saddened by that. I wanted to see it.
They never really used it in the show, did they?
Yeah, they actually used it quite a... You're thinking of Ninja Storm, where they didn't use it. But in the Hurricanes, they actually used it quite a bit, even at the end, which I was really surprised about. It's like they actually use hurry up quite... Like, they don't forget that this mode exists. Yeah. It's just the fact that when
it's so rare when that happens.
It's just the fact that because of the fact they're combining a lot, it's never really used. But Gouraigers looks great. It's very, very dark.
It's very dark. It's a bit bulky in terms of like the toy, but
they are tanks.
Yeah, I love the Crimson one as an individual Zord. I think
Rhino Beetle.
Yeah, that just looks.
It looks good.
It looks great, and it's kind of terrifying.
Yeah, I still really like it though. Gouraigers is a very, very good mech, and there's still a lot of animosity happening between the Hurricanegers and the Gouraigers at this point. And with Chuzubo just constantly being pushed to the background with the Hurricanegers, Talzanto is just like, I'm getting rid of that shit. And there's one part where he like fails spectacularly. And Talzanto's just like shocking him, but he's just standing there and just takes it. I'm sitting here like...
I forgot that was a move for it.
Yep, that's the finisher. The spinning wheel of doom for a hurry up form. Now, around this time, Munmaraba also ends up going into a cocoon because he's just basically been a floating bug for the past little bit. He goes into a cocoon to actually grow into something that matters.
Gross. Lovely.
Yeah. And when he steps out of it, there's slime and everything. I'm just like, so gross. And okay, now the Gouraiger and Sargain, we're gonna go ahead and skip over to episode 15 because there isn't really much that ends up happening between this time. They end up searching for a mysterious mineral associated with the Ikazuchi school because the Gouraigers end up having this thing where like their father is coming out like Star Wars and is speaking to them. Yeah, but they end up having to say that ends up basically just being C-3PO in a can. Yeah. And they end up using this mineral to power it because their father is sending them messages, and their father's dead. He's an asshole. He's the reason their personalities basically are the way they are because Iko and Ishu are very, very standoffish. Yes. Although Ishu is very dedicated to his brother. And I do like this sort of plot line because their plot takes up a lot of the beginning of the show.
Yeah.
And I like that.
It's the most interesting part of the plot.
Yeah. Now,
some would say it's the only interesting part of the plot.
I would.
Okay. Now,
we're not bitter.
Yeah, just this show ends up taking a little bit to get going, but when it gets going, it's actually pretty damn good.
But no matter what, it's pretty damn fun.
Now, they do end up getting transported to a mysterious island by Chuzubo, one of the monsters that they ended up defeating. Like, they defeated it, a whole bunch of smoke came out of it, and trapped the Gouraigers and the Hurricangers onto a mysterious island, where they end up having to fight basically each other and the island itself, because the island spews out poisonous gas that turns things to stone and evil and stuff like that. Because when Hurricaneger, when the Gouraigers end up doing it, okay, let's actually step back a point. The reason that this whole thing with the Gouraigers is sort of happening because they got this prophecy from their father who saw a whole bunch of meteors. Exactly. Saw a whole bunch of meteors.
This part of the plot I thought was just kind of stupid.
Yeah, he saw a whole bunch. I mean, it sort of plays into something
always a
later.
prophecy.
There's something that the meteors end up playing into a greater part of this plot later on, but it even still
doesn't make it any less stupid.
It's still not the strongest
The meteors
part.
increase the power of firebenders. You must stop it before it comes.
Mm-hmm. Now we'll end up.
It'd be funny, but their powers are lightning based.
Yeah.
Ego got the last part of the prophecy from his. Ego got the last part of the prophecy from his father, and it said that basically the two Gouraigers end up having to defeat each other in order to bring out that. I hate that. By the way,
it's always it or that, quote unquote.
They never actually tell us exactly what it is, and we still don't know exactly what it is until near the end of the show.
And if I can give a quick warning, if you do decide to watch this on Kiss Asian, be warned, the subtitles are pretty bad.
After a little bit, they get terrible.
They're not good.
We get the
I mean, you can still get the gist for what's going on, but there's like no punctuation.
The HK subs are not that great. But yeah, Ego just like, okay, I really don't want to have to defeat my brother, but he sort of starts doing it anyway. And he saw that when the Hurricaners were fighting that monster of the week, one of the minions fell into the steam and got like a whole bunch of green stuff on his face and went insane. And like started beating everybody until somebody killed it.
Oh yeah.
So there are these two kids that came along with them who don't matter.
Yeah, them. What the frack was the point of them?
They don't have one.
Exactly.
They end up getting pushed out of the way of the steam by Iko.
Mm-hmm.
And he goes over to the steam and like it hits his face and everything to make him go wild, and he has to fight his brother.
And that's the reason why they were there.
Yeah.
That's the reason why the kids were there. So Iko could lose his mind.
Yeah.
Because of the steam.
Really the only thing, because that was really the only way he felt that he could actually fight his brother. Because he didn't want to do it if he was actually still under his own control.
Yeah.
He could actually do it if, he was out of control.
Well, then why didn't he just stick his head in there in the first place and get the kids out of there?
I mean, that's sort of exactly what happened.
No, I mean, like, the kids not be there in the first place.
Oh, no, they just got dragged along. They got dragged along. That was basically it. They were in the last episode and they got...
It's bad writing.
Whenever you introduce a kid subplot, you're just like, why? Unless you're like Kotaro or something. You got fucking lucky, kid. I'm telling you, you're great, Ranger.
You got what?
You got fucking lucky. Shut up.
Yo, shot lucky.
Go to hell. Now, I do like this whole part of this episode, though, because this family actually sort of gets Ishu on the side of the Hurricangers. Mm-hmm. And they end up having, do the paper wall thing, and they, up the number from 3 to 4 to show that all of them are fighting together. And I like this episode quite a bit. Iko ends up breaking out of the control after a little bit, like after they actually beat him and not kill him. And then they end up basically killing Chuzubo in this episode as well. And he gets beaten later. But yeah, it's just this is the point where Chuzubo is really on his last leg. At this point, he has nothing really until Zanto's literally done with him. Mm-hmm. So here we are. Okay. Episode 19, The Big Box and the Wind Thunder Giant. This is where Oboro ends up figuring out that...
box blue.
No.
Damn it.
They end up figuring out that
It's Oboro.
Oboro.
You keep saying Ouroboros.
Whatever. But yeah, this is the one where...
Sorry, Otobochi.
Where Oboro ends up figuring out that their systems are very compatible. The mech systems are similar to each other.
Mm-hmm.
So she ends up creating a Karakuri ball that can make the two mechs combine.
Cool.
Into the name that I am just completely blanking on right now. Gouraigers Senpujin.
Which looks awesome.
Yeah. It's very, very,
bulky.
Yeah. And they basically
just... cool, though.
It does look cool. I will give it that.
I love the kind of like spinning gear motif with the lion's mane and the dolphin chain.
I like how the stag beetle as pinchers becomes the shoulder pauldrons. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I do like the way that...
The feet part just seemed to be an afterthought.
Yeah, I mean, that's where they usually end up putting anything. We're just like, hey, we still have extra pieces where we put them on the legs.
On the legs.
But yeah, and this one, Chuzubo does end up getting killed.
Mini Zord.
Yes, he is a thing. Furaimaru, the little mech that ends up coming out. Yes, that ends up coming out of the Karakuri balls is in Gouraigers. And he is basically evolved into one. He's green now.
Yes.
And that's basically it for him. And he speaks a lot more. And
Yes, he does speak a lot more in Gouraigers.
Yes.
But this is not Gouraigers.
No, it isn't.
But yeah, Gouraigers Fujin kills Chuzubo. Furubijo gives him a 0. That's basically it. And what is it? Manmaruba ends up coming out. The episode before this into his like adult form and everything. He also ends up attacking within this episode and the next one. He ends up attacking Iko and injects a scorpion into him. Which we're going to end up extrapolating on just a little bit.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
That was very in tune.
Yeah, that had to be in tune because that was basically the entirety of episode 20, where Iko had to basically force himself to be in tune with Yosuke to actually shut up. We'll talk about that in a second. To basically teach him a new elemental attack. And this is where the Fujoshis go wild.
So you.
Oh no. I just saw this one coming a mile away. I'm good at that shit. But
that you are.
Yeah, they were for a couple episodes. You can see exactly what I mean because they end up doing a lot with Iko and Sosuke, and I'm just like, not Sosuke. I knew I was going to make that reference at least once. It's Yosuke, so I'm just like, I know I'm going to end up calling him Go on Red's name, and I don't want to, but it's going to happen. But yeah,
or Shinosuke.
See, I wouldn't make that one. They're just a letter difference between the other two.
Fair enough. But anyway, Yosuke
and Iko.
Yes.
And in episode 21, we end up getting to meet the actual sixth spirit.
And he's annoying.
Saturakura.
He's so annoying.
Now, a lot of the Hurricanger's like theme and everything is like dedicated to like kabuki theater.
Yes.
And that really shows with this character.
It does.
Not in the greatest of ways.
Yeah, he's basically he's the idiot.
He's just a jerk. Like so many other villains in the show, they're just dicks.
Yeah.
Now, but yeah, Saturakura ends up coming in. He's our sixth spear. And he's basically just a giant asshole.
Yep.
And at the end of this episode, we end up getting to see somebody at a baseball stadium.
Yes, we do.
And one
of the greatest things about
their hamster master has been talking to a person on the phone for a good while.
Yes. Or at least trying to reach someone on the phone.
Yes.
Their hamster master. Sorry.
The fact that that's a sentence.
Yep.
The hamster master.
That is, yeah.
And he's like, he has reached an amazing score at the baseball stadium. He was like, I'm ready to go. Because this guy speaks a lot of English.
A lot of English, shall we say.
And this person is the best person in this show, Shurikenger.
Shurikenger, the sixth ranger.
Yes. He is so good. But
samurai.
There is a thing with him.
Oddly enough.
Because we never actually
get to see... He's a ninja, a samurai, and a baseball player.
Yeah, we never actually get to see his face.
No, we don't.
Throughout this entire show.
Technically, isn't he like not a person?
No, he is. But there is a thing that they end up explaining at the end of the show.
It takes a while to get there, but they do explain it.
Yeah.
Must have gone over my head.
Yeah, but the scorpion that Iko got hit with earlier ends up basically branching out and creating some other scorpions which attack his brother and the Hurricangers. And Shurikenger ends up saving them from the scorpions at the end of this episode.
Yep.
With his own mech, by the way.
In a really interesting way, I think.
He freezes them.
Yes.
And goes through and cuts out all the scorpions.
Yeah.
Except the one in Iko. And that's basically it. And just like, hey, who are you? And he was just like, ha ha ha, and then he runs away.
Wouldn't you like to know?
I am the ninja of the ninja.
And he also has his own mech.
Yes, he does. I love his mech.
His mech is great.
I love the fact that it's a helicopter.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
I think it's one of the better things about this show. Just the fact that he really does end up having his own actual mech by himself. And that's really just a great thing. I do love Shurikenger. He's fun.
Yes, he is.
He's a lot of fun.
He gets a lot of toys, too.
Yeah. But back to the actual plot line a little bit, because we'll say, like, his main rival, like, because they sort of do end up having rivals with the spears. His main rival, I guess, will end up being Saturakura. They got introduced so closely together. Oh, yes. Every single time Shurikenger ends up showing up on screen, it's not actually him. We actually get to see a lot of past Sentai actors.
And the first one that we see is Mega Red.
I was so happy. Because I couldn't remember when. I knew he showed up, but I wasn't sure when. And I was so happy it was Mega Ranger. I love Mega Ranger, as you all know. I think we all do. But it's just like, it's always good to see a past Sentai actor in anything that comes after their show.
Yeah.
I think that just gives it like a level of specialness. Because Shurikenger ends up being just a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
And
we get Red Racer, we get Blue Racer, Mega Red, Mega Blue, Go Red, Time Yellow comes back.
Mm-hmm.
Kenji Oba.
Kenji motherfucking Oba.
We're not there yet, but yes.
Him being just the greatest thing. And every single time they end up transforming into...
They incorporate their past Sentai Henshin into it.
Yeah. I love it.
And sadly, one of them is Tatsuya no Mi.
Yes. Shishiranger was one of them.
The Shishiranger who was recently passed away. It was very bittersweet seeing him.
Yeah. It's always good just to see him, though. And, yeah. But I loved his thing because...
But the episode where he showed up was great.
Yeah.
It was.
It was a really, really good episode. And it's just good to see them all come back. I love the fact that happens a lot now, especially with the Decorator cast.
Oh, yeah.
We see them at least once a year at this point.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm just used to it. It's like, okay, are we going to see Decorator now? Okay, we do.
Okay.
Eventually, we're just going to get to... And every time, like, they tell us something different when it's the same characters, too. So eventually, like, Deca Pink's going to walk on with a kid. Just, hi.
Probably.
We had a baby.
That's the entire point I'm here by. What? That was my entire
She's
cameo.
gonna Akiba Ranger season 3, and she's just gonna walk by the camera with a baby.
Yes.
And just be like, what the? Okay.
Now, episode 28, because, the Scorpion is still in Eco, he goes basically to the mountains to try to get the Scorpion from him.
Mm-hmm.
Stop it. And he basically just doesn't have him leave everybody else behind, but this is basically like the end of Manmaruba's arc as a spear. And I like it because, a lot of the show
to staff.
surprisingly ends up focusing on Eco. I didn't expect him to get as much because, we're much more for the
I expected
Reds.
to get hit for that pun I just made, but yeah.
I didn't hear it.
I didn't hear it. You got lucky.
What was it?
He got demoted to staff. I didn't regret.
But yeah,
I regret nothing.
This show actually does pretty good with not focusing on the red.
Yes.
Yes. Unless it's the 10 years after special, then it does a very piss poor job of that.
We'll talk about that at the end of this.
Yeah,
But it wasn't. That wasn't bad.
Yeah.
But still.
Yeah, but it's good to actually have, everybody else because there ends up being a lot of sacrifice. And once again, the Fundoshis are a thing. Fujoshis are... I said Fundoshi. That is completely different thing. But yeah, because...
It's so much more fun when it's not you. The word flows.
No.
Okay.
It
now,
always is.
Satoru Nakara ends up bringing in, like, these three beasts, these three werewolves.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They end up coming in and just causing a whole bunch of destruction and things like that. He ends up bringing in these pets, and they end up basically just keeping everybody else occupied. And I like the fact that it's just Nanami, Kota, and Ishu. Because we don't get to see them, like, interact nearly as much. There was an episode earlier where, like, a monster makes Ishu fall in love with Nanami for basically just the entire episode.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That was the thing.
Yeah, that's an episode that happens. But in this one, so it's basically just the team split up into two, but it's not Hurricangers and the Gouraigers. It's Hurricaneger and the Gouraiger and Hurricangers and the Gouraiger. Mm-hmm. And I like that. And it gives a much more interesting dynamic to see these two teams sort of like fight it out. Because, there have been episodes earlier when the Gouraigers were still going against them that Yosuke would go out and like try to convince them to get on their team. And on the same time, it's like, we're Earthlings and everything. And he ends up getting beaten up and everything. But we don't end up getting to see like the team dynamics sort of like this that often. And I like that. Because as we said earlier, they don't get all under one team name. It's the Hurricangers and the Gouraiger and
Shurikenger.
Yeah, it's
3 separate entities.
Yeah, so that's great. I like that.
It's definitely different, but when
I like it.
I like it to a degree, but I feel like when you're trying to be a team, I feel like there's a level of separating yourself too much. I don't think this one crossed it, but it came close a couple times.
Yeah, there is that. Now, in this episode, this is episode 31, by the way. Yeah, and in this episode, it's basically just Eco ends up collapsing at the end of the episode, and like his brother's arms and everything.
What is he collecting?
I said collapsing.
Really, not the first time he did, but anyway.
You'll never be able to
It's
prove it.
collecting the 7 Dragon Balls and wishing away the Scorpion.
Basically.
Wishing for better villains.
Because
I would.
in this case, he basically, I like the fact they actually use like hospital staff and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Once he ends up collapsing, it's like the doctor was like, I can't really do anything right now unless we end up getting another Scorpion that I can pull the antidote from. Mm-hmm. Or like the actual venom to make an antidote. And Yosuke goes out, gets himself in poisoned by another one of the Scorpions, by Manmaruba, because he basically just taunts him into doing it. And he goes in and delivers like he goes in and delivers himself because the scorpion's inside him. They make the antidote, and his heart stops for a while, and Ego just like breaks down. And I'm sitting here like, really? It's like, could y'all be any more blatant? Oh no, you couldn't. Oh okay.
No, they could. More blatant would have been them like sloppily making out with each other.
They wouldn't do that. That's still a kid show. Well, it's in Japan.
O's.
That's a bad example.
Okay, that's a better example.
But yeah, in that episode as well, they finally end up beating Menmaruba. We're gonna put that in quotations for a minute because the staple in it, because it's sort of a thing, but he still ends up coming back as a floating
Bookmark it.
heart. That's basically it.
Bookmark.
That's basically all it is.
Yeah. Nothing, I guess.
Yeah, and this is the one that we also end up getting introduced to Revolver Mammoth.
Mm-hmm.
Which is controlled by what?
Shamisen.
Shamisen.
Yeah, Shamisen. Yeah, it's not controlled by a guitar.
Yeah, I know.
You control it by a shamisen.
It's still funny.
Power Rangers, it would be a good one.
And Power Rangers was absolutely a guitar, which is why it's funny. Because no kid is going to understand what the fuck that is. It's a shamisen. You mean a guitar? Sure.
Let's call it that.
No ignorant child. That isn't what I mean.
Now, for the next couple episodes, once again, we do end up getting to see some past returning Sentai actors because of Shurikenger. There are a couple that we skipped over because they're not really relevant to the plot overall. But Menmaruba does end up coming back. He gets into another cocoon and turns back into his fully formed self. The Shurikenger is training the Gouraigers and the Hurricangers to really start fighting against Jakanja. And there's around this time you also start getting mention of somebody who's like above him, Gozen Sama, who's somebody that we haven't met yet, but Hamster Master ends up talking to him quite a bit, on the phone, everything, and Shurikenger reports directly to him. And in episode 35, Sparkle and Shamisen, this is the one where they actually end up having everybody else start to control Revolver Mammoth, just in case, like, you know, they really need to, or something happens to Shurikenger and he can't do it. So he has to really teach them, and they get really pissed at him. And it's, like, completely understandable. He's going really hard in on them. Just like, you got to remember that people get tired because he's just constantly pushing them the entire time. Mm-hmm. And in this episode, we also do end up getting, as I said, another returning Sentai actor, Vedresa! Mm-hmm. He comes back in this one. I just love seeing him and everything. He's great. He looks so much like Sentai. He looks like Krim Steinbelt.
Oh, yeah.
He looks a lot like him now, especially. I mean, if you look at them side by side, it looks like they're brothers.
Interesting.
But yeah, I just had to mention that one because Red Racer, and I love Red Racer. Basically the clone of Menmaruba ends up coming back. He ends up putting like a ring or something around a whole bunch of people's necks that slowly kills them.
Would it be considered a ring at that point? Or a choker? Or a necklace?
Yes.
Ninja device that does bad things.
Basically. There you go.
There we go.
But yeah, so the meteor storm is coming back, the one that I mentioned earlier from the father. That one is coming back, and it basically ends with transforming Menmaruba. Now the meteor storms are coming back. And that meteor storm basically ends up transforming Menmaruba to like a monstrous form.
Yes.
And he's mindless at this point, too.
Does he bend fire?
No.
Damn it.
And he ends up swallowing the Gouraigers. Ew.
Yummy.
And like a whole bunch of houses and everything.
I feel like that would give him some serious heartburn.
Yeah. But I do love like this little miniature training art that they have going on where the Hurricaneers have to learn how to ride the Gouraigers' bikes like over 3 cars to jump far enough to get into his mouth to get them out. Mm-hmm. And like they're constantly under a lot of pain and everything from the necklaces, chokers, whatever you want to call them, around their necks, because the more the eyes open, the more pain is inflicted. And that really only ends up happening because Menmaruba, like after he ends up swallowing a whole bunch of stuff, he goes to sleep.
There's one person,
just like in real life.
There's like one person who gets hit with that and goes, "Yes, thank you."
You know there is that one person.
There's
but
that one
if
person.
the eyes open all the way, they die.
And
there's still that
it'll
one.
be
There's still that one person. Now, Shurikenger and Obero have been
just
working
like real life.
Behind the scenes to go ahead and create something that would actually end up combining all 3 of the mechs together.
Right.
And because they finally end up, getting the training out of the way with the bikes, they jump in, get the Gouraigers out. Yeah. They call their mechs, and they end up calling Shurikenger's mech, and they finally end up combining into one big thing, Tenrai Shinpujin. Is that the name? What we're going to call it?
Mech Ultimate Form.
Yes.
Mecha.
The one that was actually on our...
Karakuri Giant Tenkujin?
That's the name of the... That's the name of Shurikengers.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, it's Gatai Tenrai Shinpujin.
Yeah.
Which was number 1 on our top 10 best mechs list.
It was, yeah, that's right.
I quite like this mech.
I do too.
Usually something
that's
when
why
you-
it was number 1.
When you end up putting a whole bunch of
I
things
was
together... when you end up putting a whole bunch of things together, they end up looking too bulky, looking at you, G12, and fucking Hurricane.
There are many others.
Yeah.
Shinkenger.
But yeah, this one
Ninja.
actually looks
Go on.
fine.
Yeah, he's.
Yeah, that's G12.
All right.
But this one actually looks
this
fine.
One works.
Yeah, it's like it's bulky.
It
Yeah,
could definitely look worse.
yeah.
But it
Look at
did.
you once again, G12. But yeah,
Or
this
you got 2 helicopters sticking out your ass.
but this one actually looks fine. Looks like actually maneuverable, and I think that's the thing that actually helps it. Because a whole bunch of these other ones just look like, how do thou move? Oh, you don't. Oh, okay.
Or where is your head? Oh, you don't have one. Oh, is it right
okay.
there? Oh no, it might be over there.
Mm.
Is it over there though? Oh no.
Anyway,
But
we
yeah.
digress once again.
And that's the end of Manmaraba. And in the next
Hooray.
episode, we end up
Another
getting
one bites the
introduced
Yeah.
to the Seventh Spear. That's the name of the episode, by the way. The Seventh Spear in the Mysterious Zone. And this is also when we end up getting introduced to Gozen Sama, who's a woman.
Yep.
So nobody expected that. And Jakanja's final spirits are coming in. What is his name?
Holding in the Doctor Who jokes on that one. Sorry.
Stop it. Now, here's a very interesting thing. The way that they first in the
Who's the name of what you said?
the Seventh Spear.
Sundaru.
Sandaru.
Sandaru.
Or as Sadarakura ends up calling him, Sanchan.
We talk about how annoying they are.
Not yet.
Uh,
But yeah,
Not as annoying as some other ones.
or their English counterparts.
not yet.
Not yet.
But yeah, I like the way, because of the fact that Tenrai Senpuja ends up taking up so much energy, they couldn't form it again for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Until Overall actually ends up working out exactly how this thing is supposed to work. So we don't end up seeing that mech combination for quite some time. I like that. Because, you know, usually for a little bit, once they end up getting that ultimate formation, it's just like,
Kiva.
that's it. Or that. Or it's just like they just constantly end up winning. Like this one did in Live Man.
Yeah.
Because after they, you know, I think they got their combined mech, as soon as they brought the thing out, everything else died. I do like Sandaru. He comes in, and he basically just ends up disrupting a lot of people.
Yeah.
He comes in, just fucks people over the entire time.
Mm.
And that's pretty great, because it's someone who's really working to get his own level of power, who we haven't really gotten before. At least not in this show.
Mm.
It's usually everybody's working under Talazanto. And everybody's scared of Talazanto because of the power that he has. So I'm sitting here like, okay, if you get about 5 feet away from him, he can't do anything.
I was gonna say, if he actually stood up, then maybe you could be afraid of him.
Yeah.
Get a long stick, just poke him in the head with it.
I do love this though, because as we said, Shurikenger ends up speaking a lot of English.
Mm.
And he gets a phone call from Gozen in this episode. He's like, hello?
Yeah.
I love it. It's so good. I just love this random English.
Yeah.
And
Random English is always funny.
this is when we sort of, and we also get into the final plot of this, because there's these 2 stones that they were trying to find. Angry Bow and Sad... No, it's Angry Arrow, Sad Bow. That's the name of them. I didn't pick it. I would not done that. I don't understand exactly what the significance of it. I feel like there's something super Japanese I'm not getting. So, but yeah,
Oh well.
I do love it. Sandaruns are coming in, and he basically just walks through them because he has that free rope ability.
You are trying
I am
so hard
just
today.
Destroying myself from the inside out.
So I've noticed.
But I hate things like that because they never get a way to actually get around it. That ability. So they basically just, every single time he uses it, they literally get tossed around. I do like his ability to come in though. Having him actually enter this story and really shake things up, especially for the villains team, makes it just that much more interesting because they weren't really doing much besides trying to beat the Hurricangers for a good point. So now we actually have a point and a plot for them to actually have something to do.
Yeah.
I'll mention a few things about this because like I said, we end up getting introduced to Gozen officially in this episode. I feel like if she would have been a thing much earlier, it would have been a lot more interesting.
Yeah.
Or at least got some introduction to her because, things end up happening to her in the last couple episodes for this. Now, the Hurricangers, as I said earlier, and the Gouraigers at this point, end up having sort of an issue with Shurikenger because they don't really know where his allegiances lie, which is completely understandable.
Yeah.
It's just like...
He's been very cryptic about himself.
Yeah, it's like, we don't know anything about you. Who the hell are you? Why should we be, following your orders when, one, you're not the leader of our team, and two, we literally know nothing about you, your past, or who you actually serve. And there ends up being an issue with that, and I think this is the episode where we end up getting to see Daigo, but not Kujaku. So, yeah, and it's it's really good to actually see that level of introspection coming from this character who was like so bombastic and being over the top and things like that. With Shurikenger, it's just like, okay, I really have to focus back on what exactly being part of this team is it meaning to me. And there's this one part where the Hurricanes and the Gouraigers are in trouble. Gozen tells him not to go help them, and he does it anyway because just like, okay, these people, I've been fighting with them for so long, I really do have to go help these people. I love that. I think that's pretty damn interesting for his character.
Mm-hmm.
Sargain ends up figuring out that the Angry Arrow,
or Raging Arrow.
It's such a bad name for everything, but it's very complacent to the Karakuri system. Mm-hmm. So he basically ends up creating another mech that ends up being sort of like it uses the same system and could take the data and everything. Every time he gets hit, he ends up taking more data from all three of the mechs and everything, and figuring out that how to use the Karakuri system to actually unlock Angry Arrow. And he does it, and he beats the shit out of the Hurricaneers when he first ends up using it. Like, they end up getting destroyed for a little bit. In the next episode, we finally end up getting our last combination because Revolver Mammoth can end up combining with the main mech. It does it earlier with Gouraigers Senpujin. And this time it ends up doing it with the final mech. And combines with that and uses like a final like rainbow attack and everything. Names are hard. That's why I don't memorize anything. I remember Gouraigers. Yes. Was it?
Yeah.
Is that the final mech?
I think so.
Tenrai Senpujin. That's the final one.
Gatai, Tenrai, Senpujin.
Yeah. It combined with that one, used like a rainbow finisher and everything, and ends up destroying the mech. And it's really, I like the way, because they end up doing a little bit of foreshadowing here. Because there's once Sargain is using the mech with the Angry Arrow, Angry Arrow comes down and like sort of stalls the mech and like is sort of slowly taking it over. And that's really the only way that they end up beating the Sargain's mech at the end of this. They end up having to, that happens and they end up destroying it. And this is where things get a little bit more interesting because yes, Angry Arrow is out and about now, but Sargain is still a thing and he really does not like Sandaru. So what does Sandaru do about that? He kills him. He chops him in half. I'm sitting here like, damn.
Okay, so you went there.
Yeah, it's just, they literally chopped the guy in half in the beginning of the next episode because Sargain isn't the costume is like a little insect thing that's on the inside of it that makes all the mechs and everything like that. And I like the way that they end up doing that because it just made it a little bit funnier.
Yeah.
Just to see him, because his voice is so deep and everything when he's still in the mech, but once the thing opens, his voice is so high-pitched. And the very next episode after he ends up dying, we end up seeing a very small box. And for Bijo and Dino and Sadarakura are just standing over, is like, just chop right in half, didn't it? Such a clean cut, too. It's like, that's just a little bit too clean. Like, we didn't expect the Hurricaneers to get this powerful. And when Dino's like, wait a minute. I was like, oh my god, she actually has a point. Besides, just sending out the ways for the monsters to grow and being sexy. That's her whole spiel.
If only she did it well.
Yeah, she really did not. And it's really interesting, just that part, because I love the backstab aspect. As soon as Sandaru comes in, people start dying.
Yeah. Hi. Welcome to Game of Thrones.
And the way that Sandaru ends up bringing out like his beast, because he has a fan that has like the beast inside of it, and they're already giant by the time he ends up throwing it out. And they're very powerful. So they sort of end up overthrowing Tenrest Infusion a couple of times. And I like that. Still at the same time, you know, what can you do? The ultimate mech eventually does end up having to get overpowered, even though they call it the ultimate mech.
Ultimate.
And there's also one part in this where a little bit later on, like the mechs are a whole like very, very damaged and everything. And the Hurricanegers end up having Angry Arrow, and all of the other Karakuri balls basically like got destroyed or something like that by one of the beasts. And the only way that they think they can actually beat the beast is by using Angry Arrow, and he does it. And that thing that happened to Sargain's mech earlier, where he got overtaken by the power, ends up happening to Senpujin as well. Mm-hmm. And it ends up like attacking Shurikenger, the Gouraigers, and everything. It's very, very interesting the way that this ends up happening. And the only way they end up breaking that is having Gozen Sama come out and actually stopping the mech from happening. Mm-hmm. And that's when we find out in her forehead, because she is about 500 years old, is Sad Bow. It's embedded into her. She is the protector of it. And with it, she doesn't have to eat or age or anything. It's very, very interesting the fact that they made her the actual thing. Mm-hmm. And she does end up having a power, but it's tied to her emotions. So when she's like sad or anything like that, it doesn't.
The name like Sad Bow, who would have thought it?
Yeah. Yeah, when she ends up having Sad Bow.
You were not amused, were you?
When she ends up having Sad Bow, and she ends up having a lot of power, she can fight against monsters and everything. Mm. She is already a skilled ninja, and that does end up showing because she has like short wakizashi, and that she can use to actually fight off people and things like that.
Is it a wakizashi or a tanto?
I thought the wakizashi was a short one.
Tanto is the shortest. Wakizashi's middle.
It's middle because it's not that small.
Okay. Yeah, because Tanto's like a dagger.
Yeah.
Swords. I know my Japanese swords.
And there are a couple episodes. We're at the last part of the series here. Sandaru has realized that Gozen Sama is the Sad Bow, and he's constantly trying to have her come out. He basically ends up going and like destroying wherever she was staying, and she goes and stays with the Hurricangers for the rest of the series. Mm-hmm. And I love that dynamic. I think it's just funny because they're all terrible.
We knew this already.
They're all just terrible people. Yeah. But it's funny having her around just to give a weirdly, polite dynamic to them. And
heaven forbid.
Yeah. Now she doesn't end up having. She has a little bit of a personality issue where it seems like she doesn't care a lot, and they do point that out a couple of times. Just like, hey, we're here fighting for you, but you got to give us something too, because it seems like
you gotta care.
Yeah, you gotta care.
You need to care.
Like there's the New Year's Eve episode where Nanami Gozen Sama doesn't eat, but she doesn't know that, and Nanami's just like pissed the entire time about her not eating her food and everything, like sort of depressed about it. And when Dinu found like these 3 mechs, because Furubijo had a mech that she made earlier that Sargain rebuilt, and Sargain had another one that since he's dead, Sadarakura ends up piloting it. And when Dinu ends up piloting I can't remember what the name is, like Mark III, but she was like, I'm going to call this thing sexy. And then she does, and it's hilarious. And I love the last part. The only reason I even mentioned this episode, besides the fact that we find out that Gozen Sama doesn't eat or anything, there's one part after Gozen Sama is like talking to them, but some of the words in Japanese do sound similar. Yeah. And Nanami is mistaken one word like as delicious or something, so she thought that she said that her food was delicious. So she goes out and like gets super hyped and excited and everything after being depressed, and she goes up like. When Dino and Sadarakura are defeated, and she goes up to, not When Dino, Furubijo and Sadarakura, but she goes up to When Dino's mech, breaks the window. When Dino's looking at her like, the fuck? And Nami just paints her face, and they end up destroying her mech. Just like, this was hilarious. Just because
Mecha sexy.
I know. She just looks at like, what? Are you doing?
You broke my window.
I'm up here. How?
What?
I love the look at her face though. It's like it's priceless because she is just like legit shocked, and that makes it just that much funnier. Now, we do end up getting a sort of evil team of clone rangers in these last couple episodes. Where,
Not as good as Mega Ranger.
Nothing will ever be as good as that. I'm sorry. The Ninja Rangers were so good and I want them to do it again, but not with this show. There's too many damn Rangers in it already, and Q Ranger, please don't.
That would be an interesting thing.
Army.
Basically. But in
Rangers on either side.
In episode 48, Trap and Eternal Life.
Mm-hmm.
This is the one where we end up getting those evil clone rangers.
Is it a trap?
The monster of the week ends up... Yeah, it is a trap. The monster of the week ends up creating these clones. It's one of Sandaru's monsters, of course. And we're creating the clones of the Rangers. They end up beating... because he's trying to draw Gozen Sama out. So he ends up creating this field that they can't fight in. At least the Hurricaneers can't fight against their clones. They just end up getting beaten. Gozen Sama ends up coming out, breaks the field. But that was the trap that was set. Mm-hmm. And after they end up beating their clones... The monster of the week ends up creating once again these chokers. I don't know what this show is with chokers, but they just keep coming back.
Kinky.
Yeah. It ends up putting it onto the Hurricangers and the Gouraigers and the Shurikenger.
Yep. And
they end up attacking Gozen Sama. She ends up breaking the thing on the monster's neck, so that breaks the control on them as well. But at the same time, Sandaru ends up coming up after the Hurricangers and the Gouraigers and Shurikenger ends up beating the monster of the week. He comes out and gets the sad bow out of her forehead. And doing that kills her.
Makes her
sad. It kills her. And he ends up getting sad bow, and that's the way they end up getting the Jakanja ends up getting the last part of that.
Mm-hmm.
And this is where things get sad and stuff. Because, here's the thing with Lady Gozen. We don't care about her. Because she came in way too late. She's a perfectly fine character, but it's just we don't have any emotional attachment to this character.
So when you kill her off, it doesn't
matter as much. But in episode 49, they fixed that. So we're going to put that in hard quotes.
Episode 49, Mission in the Heavenly Ninja.
Yes, we're going to put that in hard quotes. But in this one, Sadarakura ends up being told by Talzanta to go out and gather human energy and everything with this cannon that he gives him. And it goes out and gathers human energy. But at the same time, Talzanta's like, okay, I just want to make sure that you're actually going to do your job. So I'm going to put this thing on your, fuse it into your arm. And that's you for the next little bit. And Sadarakura is like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go ahead and go wild. And I'm just like, okay, you are about a season too early for that. No.
Not that one.
I know. That's about to get wild.
And
I will stop you.
This is the one because Sadarakura ends up basically beating Shurikenger quite heavily.
Yes.
Sandaru basically comes out and kills him. We're going to put that in quotations too because of the fact that he's sort of
massive quotes.
And he ends up slashing Sadarakura's mask off. He has a third eye, really enough. I wasn't seeing that happening. Shurikenger ends up going up to his mech after Sandaru ends up growing. Sadarakura ends up growing big and blows them both up.
There it is. Sorry.
Because that's right. And that's the end of Shurikenger for the series.
Yep.
And in the next couple episodes, basically just the Hurricanegers going into, taking Red's mech, flying into the Jakanja's base after getting rid of their force field and everything. Which was very, very specific because Shurikenger gives him his Shuriken ball. It's like, if you press this button, their force field will go away. And I'm sitting here like, okay.
How?
Why didn't you do this earlier? That seems very, very Deus Ex Machina right there.
Deus Ex Machina?
Yep.
Just let it go.
We're going to just have it. And I'm just like, why didn't you do this earlier if this is a thing that you legitimately had? It never gets explained. Because, he's supposed to be dead. And they go in, they end up basically seeing Talzanta for the first time. He's going out there to get energy to actually get a form that he can actually move around in. This is the episode where Sandaru, Furbijo, and Wendino end up fighting the Hurricanegers, but Furbijo and Wendino are killed. It's very weird how that happened because all we just see is their weapons. And that's basically it. We don't see anybody falling over.
They show up later.
Well, they show up later for a different reason. But it's I think they're supposed to be dead. And then episode 50, the Gouraigers basically sacrifice themselves, which you can say to the
again in massive air quotes.
Yeah. And blow up
This show has a lot of air quotes.
Yeah, they blow up Gouraiger
They are wind ninjas.
on Sandaru after Sandaru ends up like injuring Talzanto. Talzanto created a giant black hole.
We're just going to ignore what he just said.
I'm just going to ignore it.
Okay.
He ends up creating a giant black hole into the middle of the sky. And because, apparently, if you're going to end a show, do it with the black hole. Marvel movies have taught us that.
Yeah.
And Talzanto is like falling into the ocean after firing an angry arrow into the sea by Sadbo. That creates a black hole. And, Sundar ends up having to be killed by the Gouraigers. They blow up their mech, but they're saved at the last second. And oddly enough, in the last episode, it's, let's talk about episode 51 and what happens at the beginning of it before we do anything else.
The massive copywriting.
I know.
So the TARDIS shows up. They use the sound from Doctor Who's TARDIS at the beginning of episode 51 where they're in the black hole. I'm just saying.
I'm pretty sure the BBC doesn't have that noise trademarked.
I don't think so, but it's just like
if
it's so distinctive.
But to people like you two who really know that sound.
Well, the thing is like
it's such a distinctive sound. You're just
if
like
the dramatized movie was true, it's just house keys going up and down piano wires. So it's not like you can really trademark that.
But they legit
but it's absolutely the TARDIS.
I think it's totally the most they copyright. They get a lot of the Doctor Who sounds and use them in their shows.
Did they use that one?
Nope.
I don't think so.
Yeah, do that one. But
that's actual music.
They go up into the black hole where Talzanto is basically just formed with like the evil will.
This is in episode 51, right?
Yep.
Yeah, this is the last episode. And they end up going into like where the evil will is and getting the sad bow and the angry arrow and shooting it from the other side with Doctor Who noises in the background. Mm-hmm. So, and they end up using hurry up mode. Mm-hmm. That was one of the last ones.
It's been a hot minute since we've seen that.
Yeah, they still use it.
They basically end up having to sacrifice it at the end of the show. So, but they end up going. They come back down to Earth. It's the Gouraigers end up showing up, and the evil will ends up splitting off into the what was it? Like the 7 spears and everything. Yes. They go out and beat all of them, and then they end up like the evil will forms all of the 7 spears they just defeated back into Talzanto. They beat him too with an out of suit roll call.
Yep.
Which are always
Which
great.
is always great.
Yeah, especially with this one.
Yeah.
Yes.
Like they did, because they did it beforehand where they were still in suit, but with the visors open, but they didn't do the Sanjo at the end. But they did in this one, and I did it with them because I had to.
Yeah, I did too.
Sanjo! It's so good. That's so good. I love the roll call in general, but anytime you see like a helmetless or a suitless roll call like this,
those are always my favorite.
Those are always my favorite. Fucking Gouraigers, the best one.
No, Hurricaneger 10-year cinema.
We're gonna talk about that in a second.
We'll get there soon.
Is that gonna be in this, or is that gonna be?
Yeah, it's gonna be in this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and that's basically the end of the show. Let's go ahead. We didn't really talk about any of the 2 team-up movies. The one with Gouraigers wasn't that good. Although Gal Silver just shows that he'll just be a badass. Is basically his entire thing.
Yeah.
But the 10 Years After movie, this is the one...
We watched this when we were in college.
Yeah.
Together.
Yes.
Here's 2 things about this. Shurikenger came back before. He came back in the A-SANJOUUUU. Yeah, he came back in the A-SANJOUUUU Ninja. A-SANJOUUUU Hurricaneger special.
Nice.
Yep, that too. He comes back and that is like, I'll always be there. Justice ends up demanding it. And I'm just like, okay. And then he just leaves.
Yeah.
And then this one, he ends up coming back as the kid from Go Busters who was a martial artist.
Mm-hmm. And that kid kicked ass.
Yeah, he did. Literally. He kicked ass in both of these. And he turns into the new Shurikenger.
Yes.
And it's great seeing them in the 10 Years After special, especially that one part where Hurricane Red turns into a goddamn samurai.
And just slowly singing the opening while cutting down minions.
Yeah, he's dressed like the singer.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's what the singer dresses when he performs.
And he just
Hideaki Takatori.
Ninja time. Death. It was fucking great.
It was great.
It's great.
The helmetless
roll call, which we did along with it because it was so much fun.
Yeah, it's always great to see them that sound in a 10 Years After special. It really is just good to see them come back so long after because it shows how much they appreciate them, especially when they end up coming back in Gokaiger as well.
Mm-hmm. All 3 of them.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
All 3 of the main ones. It's just like, it's great just to see them. I love
That's one of my favorite episodes.
Yeah. It's really, really good to see them. And,
but overall, this is one of the better Sentais.
I like this one a lot. It's fun.
It's fun, but
it's a mess. Yeah,
I didn't like it. I didn't like the story that much. The main, whatever main story there was, didn't really care for that much. The villains are really, really bad, in my opinion. I just did not think any of them were that much of a threat. But I love all the Rangers.
Yeah.
I definitely love all the Rangers.
Speaking of the Rangers, let's go ahead and get into them.
Let's get into them.
Yosuke Shina, who is also Hurricane Dark in the movie for the 5 minutes that he was Hurricane Dark. But
I like him.
Yeah, he's loud, and I did rant about that. But he's
not that bad.
He
as loud reds go, this is pretty low.
He's pretty chill.
And it's great that he came back twice.
Mm-hmm.
He came back, the Gouraigers, and then the 10 years after special, and then
he came back in the Ninja.
And then Ninja for one episode as well. It's always good to see him. He's fun.
Him and Ninja Red came back for that one episode, which is cool.
It's good to see both of them. And
one of the only good episodes of the Ninja.
Oh yeah, sure. And
not there yet, folks.
What is it? Also, he's like a handyman or something because they all have jobs outside of their regular.
Yeah, he does like window washing.
Yeah,
physical labor.
Just like he's like the everyman.
Blue became a pop star.
Yes, let's go ahead and get to Nanami.
Nanami no.
Yeah, she came back and she was basically just like a pop star, and that's fun. She
started off with Enka ballads though.
Yeah,
much to her chagrin.
She came back in 2006 for what? Oh, right, that was the thing.
What?
It's for Bokenger. She came back in the Bokenger special.
Oh, right.
With the extremely long hair. Now Nagasawa was great with long hair. I think long hair works.
I prefer short hair, but
it looks good.
But she looks good, yes.
Yeah.
I preferred. I really like the way she looked in W.
Yeah.
Because she looked like Satana.
Yeah.
But her in the show, she was young. Yeah, but she's really, really fun.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, she's, really excitable and everything. I like her energy.
Yes.
Now Nagasawa really portrays her character really well. Especially, we'll end up saying this for the rest of the team, too, because they end up coming back. It's like their maturity levels really end up skyrocketing. Yes. Especially by the time that you see them in the 10 years after special.
Oh, God, yeah. Except for one of the Gouraigers. I can't remember which one. He kind of turned into a douche. Blue.
It was blue.
Bit of a difference from how he is on this show, but that's growing old.
But she's a lot of fun. Let's go ahead and get on to Kota.
Kota? I liked him a lot.
Yeah.
He's a warrior. He has a little sister.
Mm-hmm.
And, I mean, that makes sense. They were in an orphanage together. They don't have parents. So he's very worried about. Yeah.
I need to take care of you. I'm going to go off and join a secret ninja school. Bye.
It's like, okay, big brother, I'm going to go to Africa.
Fair enough.
That's exactly what she did. And
that works.
Yeah, but he is a really, really fun character. I like the fact that he's much more, like, he gets almost as excitable as Red and Blue, but he's much more on the stoic side in some cases, and it really ends up working for him.
And then he becomes a dad.
Yeah, he did become a dad.
Very good for him.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Iko Kabuto
Ranger.
He was so super serial. That was his entire character.
I'm super serial, man.
Guys, I'm super serial. But he's fun after a little bit. Like, once he actually ends up like calming down.
South Park.
Yeah, South Park. He once he like ends up really bonding with the Hurricaneers and everything, his personality really starts to come out, and he's not nearly as bull the entire time.
That's a good way to describe it. From now on, if the character is serious in any show, I want you all to describe them as a bull.
I don't know which other way to describe it.
Next.
Gouraigers. He's much more like, he's the younger of the two. So he ends up just like deferring to his brother quite a bit.
Yeah.
And
he looks up to him quite a bit.
Yeah. And that really ends up showing because he's prone to being a really rash person.
Oh.
I hate you both.
Keep inviting us back.
Oh boy.
But yeah, I liked him, and you're right, he did turn into like a gigantic douche.
Oh my god, he was such a douche.
Yes.
Because he got super famous like a pop star. Because at the end of the show, they were working.
Who's the Blues being pop stars in the show?
I have no idea.
Hey,
but at the end of the show,
Blue was in that year,
and most of the show, they were working as construction workers. Yeah. And they had that gigantic, 10-year time gap. Comes back as a pop star, but yeah, I still like.
He sings about doing construction work.
Who knows? But after he calmed down as well, he got a lot better. I think he had a thing for Nanami, like that they extrapolated on more or less in the episode where he is first of all in love with her. Yeah. I think that's the thing that actually still stands out. Let's talk about the best character. Shurikenger, who was apparently an air ninja 10 years before this. He leaves the school, like, goes and pledges himself to Gozen Sama, but he also ends up giving up his face about this. So that's why you only end up seeing him as Asakura Kagura in suit. There's a couple of times where, because they had to they don't know how he eats. Yes. And in the New Year's episode, they like see him about to eat something and they pan the camera away, and then you hear Yosuke in the background. He's like, "Oh, that's how you eat."
Yeah, good stuff.
I just love it because I thought that was like one of the funniest things with that, such a minor thing, but they never explain it, and they do so off screen. It's so funny. Done. But he is the best part of this show. He's the ninja of the ninja. But he's so much fun.
It was great to see all the past Sentai actors come back.
And play him. In the last episode, they go to, I think it's like a ramen shop or something. They go in and all of them
are there. Yeah. And they're like, "Oh, it's you. And but it's actually the characters. They don't know what
and then O-Red comes out and just like, "Stop!" And they all look at him. It's like, "It's you!"
There you are!
And they chase him and then everybody else runs out. Oh, I love it.
It was amazing.
It's so good to see them. But yeah, that's really the end of Hurricaneger. And I still really like it. It's so much fun.
If you haven't watched it yet, I would just say go ahead just for the fun ride.
I would absolutely recommend it.
It's a lot better than what came before it with
with Boring Ranger. Boringness.
This one just like, the plot isn't the best, but the characters are great. Mm-hmm. So that ends up...
The heroes are great, I should say.
So it just makes it like, I actually want to pay attention to these people.
Yeah.
And that's the main thing. But yeah, I really enjoyed Hurricaneger. Any other final thoughts?
Nope, you got about summed it up.
Yeah.
Join us next time as we open our eyes for the next Fies.
You've been waiting all goddamn
I really have.
Yes, we're doing Kamen Rider Fies next.
Yay.
But tell us what you think about Hurricaneger in the comments below. As always, like, subscribe, follow us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, the whole blah, 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 blah. And we're trying to think of something to do for 2,000 subscribers because we're really approaching that. We think we're probably just going to finally just buckle down and record fucking Toku Pitch.
Yeah,
scheduling has kind of been a nightmare trying to do this.
Yep. But we'll probably do it for 2,000 subscribers. So tell your friends to subscribe to us. We'll get there faster.
Yeah.
And tell us what you got. And tell us.
And then we'll actually have to do it.
We recorded this in a separate video, but might as well just put it on the end of this because you haven't released it yet, and I doubted you were going to. Tell us what you want us to do. If you want us to maybe do other types of videos, go to conventions, see us in person, we are open to suggestions. So, because whatever we can do to get more followers, the better. But as always, we'll see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.
Bye.